Welcome in, Husker Extra 2-minute drill, day 2, Big Ten Media Days. Steve Sipple, Parker Gabriel, Colton Stone running the camera. No Nebraska availability today. Those guys were around for the luncheon this afternoon. So different, we had, among others, Paul Chryst of Wisconsin, Kirk Ferentz of Iowa, Urban Meyer, Ohio State, sort of the biggest three names, I guess you would say, talking today.
Yeah.
What have you taken away from the day so far, Steve?
First of all, I'm always interested when Wisconsin and Iowa are here.
Yeah.
Because of the results against Nebraska, because ultimately Nebraska's kind of chasing them right now.
And they're said they should be the three. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald will tell you differently, but they should be sort of the three top schools in the West.
So it's not hard for me to kind of lock in on those teams. And the big theme in Iowa, I mean, they have a returning starting quarterback. They have a second-year offensive coordinator now in Brian Ferentz. So those guys have worked together. They have the coach, Kirk Ferentz, feels really good about the receivers, the offensive line, the quarterback. You know, the running backs are inexperienced. But, you know, and of course you wonder what their thoughts are on Scott Frost.
Yeah, and both Paul Chryst and Kirk Ferentz, I think, were sort of respectful. Paul Chryst said, yeah, you just look at what he did at UCF. Obviously, he's a really talented young coach, but neither really heaped praise, and you wouldn't expect him to.
Not really. In fact, that's almost exactly what Ferentz said.
Yeah.
And Ferentz said there's not going to be any extra time necessarily given to a lot of study.
Right.
They don't play until the end of the year. Iowa and Nebraska don't play till the end of the year. He said that he's well aware of the way Frost runs an offense.
Right.
The question will be, and this is what he said, is how the talent on hand will marry with his system.
Yeah.
Which we think in a lot of cases should look pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of, for tomorrow, you're writing about Stanley Morgan. Going back to yesterday when they talked, give me a little bit of the takeaway from
the
Stanley.
thing that Stanley said, I mean, when Stanley talks about Frost, I imagine it's like a lot of players. He talks about it in kind of reverential tones, you know. And
that's a good word.
Yeah, thank you. And said, I had to look at him. And said, said, he said one of his things is Stanley. He wants to play well enough to show Scott he could have played with Scott.
Yeah.
You know, those guys are pretty aware, I think. A lot of them are what Scott did.
Yeah.
And then you look at Scott, he still looks like he can play.
Yeah.
So they you know, that's kind of one of his objectives, which I found kind of interesting.
Yeah, Scott Frost said yesterday that they don't anoint face of the franchise type players, and they don't push anybody to be that. But he said sometimes if you're good enough, that's what you become. And Stanley has a chance to sort of be that. I think everyone sees that this year, and he's taken a more public face, I guess you would say, public role. Talked with us more, even just since Scott and his staff got here. I guess the biggest story today, Urban Meyer, only coach that I've seen here that drew the sort of crowd around him that Scott Frost did yesterday. And to be expected, he's got the most powerful program in the country. Also, yesterday they fired wide receivers coach Zach Smith, repeated domestic violence incidents. So that didn't dominate the day, but it definitely played a role, and it definitely had an impact today. What was happening.
Yeah, I'd say it was a challenging day for the Buckeye program. It got kind of bad timing, you know, all crops up on the night before they're at Big Ten Media Days. But I didn't listen to Urban Meyer, but I think he typically handles these sorts of things really well.
Yeah, he actually was more forthcoming than I thought he would be when he was in front of everyone, and I didn't hear much of what he said at the podium today. But yeah, certainly not the situation you want to be dealing with now or at any time.
Let's close
That's
this
all
thing
for
out.
us. We're closing up shop. We'll see you back in Lincoln. Thanks for watching, and keep it tuned to HuskerExtra.com for a lot of Nebraska football coverage.